Hey everyone, Melissa here, and I'm coming in today to talk to you a little bit about everything regarding conflicts start within our mind. And if you saw my post earlier, I kind of regarded that's what I'd be talking about today. And the reason I want to talk about this to you is because I'm finding that more and more times when you're trying to navigate your own life and you're trying to figure out ways that you can make things better, it all starts within your mind, within the stories that you're telling yourself. We learn to tell stories because that's how we adapt to living, to our environment. And the thing with conflict is we oftentimes will paint it in the way that we remember it. If it's a disagreement with someone, if it's the argument or a situation happened, like you have your story, they have their story, and somewhere in between there's a true story. And that's the thing that most of us forget. We know that to be true, but there's always this biased opinion. It happened to me this way. The situation unfolded that way. And that's what you continually tell yourself. And as you tell each person time and time again, you start telling the story to where it's almost real again. Like you feel the emotions, you know what it felt like, you know how you felt. And that's where the story gets even more deeper into your system to make you start feeling like the victim. I was the victim in all of this because this situation was happening because of someone else or something else. And then because that happened, I can feel this way. I can be mad, I can be angry, I can have regrets. Like all of that just keeps fueling it inside of you. So I'm sure all of you have experienced something like that at one time or another. If you haven't, I would find that that would be unusual. But the way that we can start to unload this is we need to start retelling the story. And when you can take yourself out of victim mode and look at the story more as like a movie, like you're watching this movie play out and you're in the theater seats watching it and you're not connected as that person, you can see how each person is acting. So if it's three people in this situation, you and two others, then that person has their story, the other person has their story, and you have your own. And oftentimes when people start to communicate about something, you'll find that they will they're not even listening to you. They're getting ready for their next response or reaction, right? We do that too. I mean, sometimes we hear something in their sentence that makes us go, well, I'm going to say something about that. As soon as they quit talking, I'm going to speak this. And we forget to listen. And so by doing this third person watching it, hey, Melissa, you get to really start hearing what is being said. So something as big as maybe losing your job, that would be detrimental. And you're thinking, they fired me, they let me go, I don't understand, what did I do wrong? How dare them? And I'm just going to badmouth that company. And then if you stop and realize, well, I really was tardy several days or often, I really didn't apply myself in the manner that I could have really applied myself. Maybe I wasn't as friendly and cooperative. Like those little things are something that maybe that employer was measuring of your performance, you not realizing it, but you wanted to blame them because you're out of a job. And so when you start taking ownership to those kind of things, well, maybe if I was more on time and maybe I dress the part, maybe I, do these things differently, then my next job will be better. And then you can stop the story of what you just experienced with your old job. Because oftentimes we want to move the stories forward. I do it myself. I do it with weight loss all the time. I measure it by what I did in the past. Oh yeah, I went on the Atkins diet and I dropped all this weight. Oh yeah, I went on the Weight Watchers diet and dropped all this weight. Oh yeah, I went on this diet and dropped all this weight. Why am I still telling myself that story? So if I can drop the weight using any program, why don't I just drop the weight? But that's my comfort. That's my story. That kind of gives me excuses or permission not to have to really worry about owning up to that commitment, to that responsibility to my health and wellness. So when I recognize that, oh, okay, so yeah, I apparently follow directions really well. I am very competitive, so I know that I can set myself up for a challenge. I know that the end result is going to be there for me, and the confidence goes into that program. But what I forget is the end of the story. The end of the story is this point moving forward. So the conflict continues to stay within my mindset because I've not done the work to allow that to be released. I hope that makes sense. But it's the same thing with what you're dealing with. If you can start breaking down those stories in a way that you can see, and I'm not saying you have to blame yourself. It's not really the blaming. It's just like, why am I telling myself this? They say if you tell the story more than twice in one day, you apparently feel like you're a victim in this. And there's a lot of great research out there on that, and it relates to forgiveness. And that's another thing that I'll talk to you about more later, because I'm finding that with my own work that I'm doing is it's not forgiveness and, forgive and forget like the old saying goes. It's really that understanding that you're not only forgiving the situation that happened, it's basically the forgiveness part is letting it go, and also allowing yourself, forgiving yourself, and allowing that go too. So the judgment and the criticism and the cringes that you feel every time the topic comes up, where you start you start remembering what had happened. That's the place where this forgiveness work can really allow you to shift out of victim mode and come into a much better playing field. I know if I hadn't learned this lesson myself years ago, I wouldn't be able to communicate to you guys or even be where I was, because the choice that I made, to give up my addiction and to change my life all came from, I was a victim at first. I was using the alcohol to go numb and unconscious. I'm using the food to protect myself. I'm, burning the candle at both ends because I think that's how I have to do business. And it made me really realize that those are stories that I'm telling myself. These are things that I was raised with to believe that, you have to do things this way. But it doesn't have to be that way, because you're the creator of your own life. And that's the place where you get to say, you know what? I'm going to change the story. I'm going to take the book that I've written so far, and I'm going to close that, and I'm going to put that on the shelf, and I'm going to pull down this other book, and I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to take my pen, and I'm going to start creating this life from a place now, because I know better. I'm going to create a much better life. And whether it's relationships or money or your health or career or whatever it is, the way you do one thing is how you do all things. I know that. I'm getting that loud and clear here lately, because it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But, and invest in yourself, and invest in an accountability coach or support team or group. Find someone to help you. I just invested in 3 different support systems for myself, because I know it's time to live my life in a way that is for me and not for everyone else. It's time for me to get clear, get the mindset. So I'm going to get mindset on Money on Purpose that Melissa is offering in her group, which is going to be absolutely amazing. It started today. So Money on Purpose, this is a way that I can learn to utilize my spending and my income, and how can I capitalize, because money's energy. So everything's energy. I want to make that as wonderful as the rest of my life is. The other thing I invested in was a coach that's going to work mainly on my mindset around health and wellness. And, there's going to be a program that's going to help me with eating and exercise and those kind of things, which I've been down that gamut. A lot of times the piece I was missing was the mindset around that. So we're going to get clear on that and be able to do that. And then the other class that I signed up for is to gain momentum. It's F Fear. And I can't remember what the other words, what the other 2 words were. But anyway, so that's a quick little program that I'm going to do with one of the coaches I've worked with before too, because I want to gain some momentum. I want to get some action going here with my coaching, with my life, and just keep, just amp it up. And that was something I haven't done in a long time. I hadn't had a coach in a while because of everything that's been going on with my life. And I realized that's what I'm missing. I'm putting that back in there. So that kind of went off track of what we were talking about. The conflict starts in your mind. But for me, that's how I'm able to continue growing, by having the support with coaches and groups and mentors, so that I can continue to break down and dissect the stories that I've created, so I don't have to carry them forward. I let go of a lot of my stories from the past, and that's been in good service to me. But I'm also reminded of those stories because I know how important it is for others to witness someone else. You dropped that story about, I grew up in a negative environment. Everything was negative Nancy. And now it's like, I don't have to look at that. I hear the negative and I choose something else. See what Melissa has to say here. And you totally help me with mindset and accountability. We support each other. I love being coached and taking courses and classes and programs. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. If you've not experienced this as someone watching, I really encourage you. I just put an offer out to do a 1-hour activation with me, and the exchange is $33. If you haven't seen that, scroll down to where that is. That's an activation that I normally charge like $197 for, but I feel very moved in my service to helping other people of offering that at that price, because the exchange has to happen, because If you're getting it for free, you're not going to take the content and really cherish it and value it and utilize it in your highest and best good. So that's why there's an exchange. There's also one-on-one coaching that you can do with me. So make this a priority for yourself. But let's start with the story of what you're telling yourself why you can't do this. I can't afford it. Yes, you can. You're able to buy, things that you truly want. You're just not valuing yourself. You put food on the table, you buy a new dress for whatever, a funeral or something like that. Like you find the money. If you had a life situation, you would find the money for that if you needed to pay for something or help someone else. So take that into consideration. What is my story around not allowing myself to be supported, not allowing myself to have something? Maybe you're someone that, would like massages and pedicures and manicures. I do that, and I allow myself to do that. I don't do it all the time, but those are times when I need to raise my vibration, lift my energy, and get clearer and just, live from that place of self-love and self-care. And I really know that as you continue to follow me and get this information, as I told you in the other video, I know it's sparking something in you because you keep coming back time and time again. And that to me is your sign. You need to step in and take action. And whether it's just hopping on a call with me for a few minutes just to see what it sounds like and to see what it would be like to work with me, I'm happy to do that for you. Or if you want to take advantage of that activation that I'm offering, do that. Whatever it is that I can do to help you further, I would love to be a partner with you so that you can start living a more full, abundant life. You can stop the stories, you can stop being the victim, and you can start creating the life you love. As my friend says, creating the life you love on purpose, because that's truly all that you have right now is creating it the way you want to design it. It doesn't have to be what other people think or what the expectations of anyone else has for you. It's all about you. And I've done it for a long time, and I know it's possible, and I have a lot of friends and mentors and coaches that can all validate that the same. So I hope this information has been in service to you. As always, I send you tons of love and light and much happiness until we see you again. Much love.